guys, it's Michaela. Thank you so much for coming to watch my crochet tutorial. Before we get started, I did have a couple things I wanted to say. If you are using safety eyes, I do not use safety eyes on my stuffed animals, but I do put my safety eyes usually on row 15 or 16 of my stuffed animal. So if you're going to do that, make sure to do that. They go in the middle of each white section. So I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that. I don't use them because I sell them, my stuffed animals, and it's safer for children. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. Let's go ahead and get started on this tutorial. Hey guys, it's Michaela, and today we're going to make this adorable little pudgy penguin. You only need 3 colors, well, 4 if you count the eyes. But you need just a little bit of orange. I don't even have a whole skein of orange. I literally have scrap yarn orange, and that's what I use to make the beak. And then you need some white. I actually use Parfait Chunky Cream, so it's slightly off-white because I prefer that. And then you can use blue, gray, black, pink if you want it Valentine's Day themed, since that's coming up. But let's go ahead and get started. So first, you're going to start with your blue yarn, and you're going to either do a magic circle, but with Parfait Chunky, I prefer doing a chain 2. And then, once you make that magic circle or chain 2, you're going to single crochet 6. I'm going to single crochet 6 into my first chain. Once you have finished single crocheting 6, you are going to do a row of increases. So you're going to do an increase in every stitch. And if you don't know what an increase is, that is simply doing 2 single crochets in each stitch. Okay, now you should have 12 stitches. If you're new, make sure you're going back and counting so that you know that you for sure did it correctly. I even count almost every row still, unless I get to really big rows. But now we are going to do a pattern, and we're going to do this pattern 6 times. So we're going to do a single crochet, and then in the next stitch we're going to do an increase. So go into your first stitch, do a single crochet, and then an increase in your next stitch. So that just means 2 single crochets. And you'll do that 6 times total. Okay, there we go. So now for our next row, we are going to do a pattern again. So we're going to do an increase in the first stitch and 2 single crochets in the second one. Before you start this row, make sure you have 18 stitches, and then once we finish this row, we will have 24. So let's do that pattern together once, and then you'll do it a total of 6 times. So we start with an increase, so that just means 2 single crochets in that first stitch, and then 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. Okay, so now you should have 24 single crochets. For round 5, we're going to do 3 single crochets and then an increase. So 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. And you're going to do that pattern 6 times total. For row 6, you're going to do 1 increase and then 4 single crochets. So we'll start with an increase, and then single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're going to do this 6 times total to get a total of 36 at the end of this row. Okay, so that was the last row of increases. Your work should sit pretty flat. If you're having the problem of it being like super pointy, I would suggest using a bigger hook size for your yarn. But if yours is looking pretty flat, it might have a little curve to it, no big deal. We're going to move on. This is where our color changes are going to start. So you want to make sure you're counting as you go to make sure that your white ends up in the right spot, because if it doesn't, your lines won't look as straight. I'm also going to show you a couple of my tips for color changes to make them look as straight as you can. I will say almost always if you're a right-handed crocheter, the right side is going to look a little better than the left. I haven't figured out a way to fix this. It makes sense if you really look into what a crochet stitch looks like, that this side is going to show a little bit of the second color right there. But overall, it's pretty straight and I'm not going to complain about it. So let's go ahead and get into this first row. We are going to be starting at the bottom. So this is the bottom. So to help you visualize it as you go, we're going to start with this small part right here, and it's going to get bigger, then go straight. And then we're going to get to this row where we're going to have this blue added in the middle. So for row 7, we're going to do 16 crochets, single crochets, normal easy crochets. And we're going to do those in the blue color for 16 of them. And then we're going to stop. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So on this last single crochet, I went in my stitch and I grabbed the yarn and I stopped in the middle of my stitch, so I didn't take the yarn and pull through those two. I'm going to stop there and grab my white yarn. If you do your color changes this way, it will be a smoother change between colors and it will cause a straighter line. So now, instead of grabbing that blue yarn and pulling it through, I'm going to actually grab this white yarn. So I'm going to put the white yarn behind, kind of hold it on there. And then I'm going to grab the white yarn with my hook, and I'm going to pull it through those two. So now that's the one going through it. Then I'm going to tighten my blue stitch a little, tighten it up some. I'm going to flip my work over, and you don't have to do super long pieces. This is a bit longer than I normally do. And you're going to tie them 2 times to make a knot. And then grab your scissors and cut the string that you are getting rid of that color. You don't want that color. Just snip it. So we're cutting the blue and we are leaving the white on. So now for the white color, we are going to do 4 single crochets. So you do it just like normal. You're going into that stitch and doing a single crochet. We'll do that 4 times with the white. And then we're going to do the same thing. On the last stitch, we grab the yarn and we have our 2 loops. We don't pull through those 2 loops yet. We leave it be. We grab the color we're switching to. So in my case, it's blue. I'm holding it on the back, grabbing it with my hook, pulling it through the loops. I'm tightening the white loops a little so it holds nice and tight. I'm tying the yarns together on the back side. And this time I'm getting rid of the yarn I don't need anymore, so I'm going to snip my white yarn. So now I'm back to the blue and I'm going to single crochet 16 in blue again. And that'll be the end of the row once you single crochet 16. And you can see now that we're starting to get that dome shape, which is perfect. So now we're going to do row 8. For row 8, we're going to start with 14 single crochets. On the 14th single crochet, we are going to not fully finish it. We're going to leave both of those loops on that hook. I finished mine. There we go. So you're going to have both loops on the hook. You're going to grab your second color, so probably white. And you're going to finish that 14th single crochet with your white. And then you're going to tie them together. Now you're going to do 8 single crochets in white. The 8th single crochet, you don't want to fully finish it. If you do, just undo it a little. Put your hook in both loops. And you're going to switch back to your blue color. And tie them together. And now you're going to do 14 single crochets with your blue. Row 9 through 15 are going to be the exact same. So what I'm going to do is show you row 9, and then if you need, you can go back to it, follow it again. But there is a color change in it, but it's the same amount of stitches for each color every time. So we're going to start with 13 single crochets in this blue color. Remember that 13th stitch you don't want to fully finish, because you're going to take your new color and you're going to finish the stitch with that color and then tie the colors together. And then you are going to single crochet 10 with your white. The 10th single crochet, you don't want to finish it. Leave those 2 loops and you're going to switch to your blue. Tie them together. And then to finish this row, we're going to do 13 single crochets in this blue color. Okay, that is the end of row 9. So this is what we're starting to look like. You can see that belly forming. And like I said, row 10 through 15 is going to be the exact same. So you'll have 6 more rows that are exactly like row 9. So I'm not going to show that. And I will be back when it is time for row 16, and we'll keep going then. Okay, so I just finished row 15, the front of your penguin. should look like this. You'll have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 white rows so far. So now we're going, sorry, made the camera shake a little. Now we're going to move on to row 16 and 17. These rows are going to be the same. So I'll go ahead and go through both of them with you, but I'll probably do row 17 a bit faster, but 16 I'll make sure that you understand what's happening. So to start row 16, we're going to single crochet 13 in the blue color. And before I start this, I need to tie these together because I forgot to, and cut so I have the white when I need it. Okay, so start by single crocheting 13 in blue, which is the color you should have already ended on. And that 13 stitch, don't fully finish it. Now we're going to switch to our second color. And we are going to single crochet 4 in this second color. So I'm just switching to my white, single crochet 4, on the 4th single crochet, don't finish it, and we're going to switch back to our first color, and we are going to single crochet 2 in that color. So when I'm switching back and forth a lot, sometimes I don't cut it and I just pull it over. And you just want to make sure it's loose enough that it's not causing it to like fold, but it's not so loose that it'll mess up your stitches. You can do the cutoff method where you tie them together if that's easier for you. I just find this is easier for me, so I just leave that in the back. I finished my 4th stitch, and now I'm going to do 2 in blue. I don't finish the blue. Now I am going to cut the blue. Or no, I'm not going to cut the blue. Sorry, guys. Because I'm going to go back to it in a second. I'm going to finish that stitch with the white. I'm going to single crochet 4 with the white. The 4th single crochet, I'm not going to fully finish. I'm going to cut the white, leave a bit of a tail. I'm going to bring the blue over and tie them together so that the white on this part doesn't come undone. And then I'm going to finish that stitch with the blue. And then I'm going to single crochet 13. So now I'm going to go ahead and single crochet my 13 for row 17, because now we're on row 17. This is what row 16 should look like on the front. And so you're going to go ahead and do that row again. So we'll start by single crocheting single crocheting 13 in the blue color. The 13th stitch you don't want to fully finish, so you can switch to white, and you'll single crochet 4, and then you'll switch back to your blue and you'll single crochet 2, switch back to white, single crochet 4, switch back to blue, and then you'll single crochet 13. Before I switch back to blue, since I'm just switching around and I'm not doing the tie-offs every time, before I start crocheting with the blue, I'm going to tie the white and the blue together, and then I'll use my blue. Like I said, if that's confusing to you, you can do it the way we've been doing it the whole time. This way just makes it a little quicker sometimes. And the inside isn't going to be seen, especially since it's a stuffed animal. So like I said, single crochet 13 with blue, and that'll finish row 17. This is what the front of your penguin should look like after row 17. Now we are going to move on to row 18. For row 18, we are going to start by single crocheting 14 in the blue color, which we're already using. On your last stitch, don't finish it. We're going to switch to white. And with white, we're going to single crochet 2. Now you'll switch back to your blue color, and you're going to single crochet 4, and then you will switch back to your white color, single crochet 2, and switch back to your blue color and single crochet 14, and that'll end this row. Okay, so that is the end of using our white yarn. And the rest of our penguin is going to be just this top part of the head, so it'll be all blue, and then our wings, which are blue. So we're totally done with the white yarn. For row 19, we're just going to single crochet all the way around, so it'll be 36 single crochets total. I'm going to do that off camera, and then when I finish that row, I'll be back. Okay, so I just finished single crocheting 36 for row 19, and now we're going to start with row 20. We're going to have a pattern in this row of 1 decrease and then 4 single crochets, and we'll do that 6 times. Once you finish this row, you should have a total of 30. So for decreases, if you don't know, you're going to go into a hole, grab the yarn, and instead of grabbing it and pulling through, you're going to go into the next hole, grab the yarn, and then you'll grab and you'll pull through all 3. My favorite way to do decreases is when I go in the hole, I don't go under both of the stitches. I go under just the first one, and this is called an invisible decrease, and it prevents holes, which is very common in amigurumi, especially when you're just starting out. So you do 1 decrease and then single crochet 4, and you're going to do that all the way around. For row 21, our pattern that we're going to do 6 times will be single crochet 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then a decrease. And you'll do this all the way around to get a total of 24 stitches. For row 22, we're going to do a decrease and then single crochet 2, and we're going to repeat that 6 times. So decrease, single crochet 2. Now is the time that you're going to want to start stuffing your penguin. So I'm going to grab a little stuffing, put some in here, and then after this next row, we want to really make sure it's stuffed nicely. Now my penguin is most of the way stuffed. So now I'm going to go ahead and do this next row, which is 1 single crochet and then a decrease, and you'll do that 6 times to get a total of 12 stitches. So single crochet and decrease. Now that I'm done with that row, I'm going to add a bit more stuffing in the top. Helps round it out. This is when you should make sure your shape looks how you want, because stuffing plays a big part in that. If you overstuff, it won't look the way you want. If you understuff, it won't stay the way you want it to look. Okay, so there's my little guy all stuffed, and for the last row, we're going to do 6 decreases. Okay, so now I'm going to cut my yarn and sew it closed, and then all we have left are 2 wings and the face, and then we'll be all done with our little penguin. I realized you may not know how to sew it closed. I already did it, but what you're going to do is you're just going to wrap the string around the loops, and if you wrap it around them, so if you always go from the inside to the outside, and then the next one you go around inside outside. I know it really sucks. I should have shown you guys. But if you do that, then when you pull it, it'll cinch it closed, and then you'll just tie it and put it in your stuffed animal. That was my bad. If you need me to show you how to do that, I do have other tutorials on my channel where I do show that. I don't know why I didn't, but that's okay. So anyways, now we're going to move on to the wings. I'm going to show you guys a wing once, and then you can re-watch that part to make the second one if you need to. So the wings are going to be in all blue, and we won't use any stuffing for them. So let's go ahead and get started. You just need your yarn, your hook, and your scissors for the wings. So you can do either a magic ring, or you can do like I do, and I chain 2, and I'll single crochet into the first chain, and you'll start by single crocheting 4. For row 2, you're going to do 1 single crochet and then 1 increase, and you'll do that pattern twice. So single crochet, increase, single crochet, and increase. And you should have a total of 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For row 3, you're going to do an increase and then 2 single crochets, and you'll do that 2 times. So increase, 1, 2, increase, and then single crochet 1, 2. So now you should have 8 stitches. For row 4, you're just going to do 8 single crochets all the way around. So that is the end of your wing, so you'll just finish it off. If you don't know how to finish off, you do a slip stitch, chain 1, and then cut off. Leave a tail for sewing, because you'll sew on your wing. So now I'm going to make my other wing off camera, and then we'll sew them on and sew on the face. Okay guys, now it is time for assembly. I'm going to start by putting the wings on. So to sew on the wings, we're gonna put them on row 13. So you start counting from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And I'm gonna have 1 stitch between where the wing starts and the white, so it'll go in right there. I'm gonna count one more time to make sure. So right here, I'm gonna go 1 column over of 1 blue stitch between the white and where I put my needle. I'm just gonna go over a bit and kind of gonna go 1 more stitch over to secure both ends of the wing, and that just makes it easier for me to sew it on. I'm gonna make sure I go through the front and back because there's 2 sides. So now I'm just going to go over the tops. Make sure I go through both sides and go down and then go to the next one. Then when you're done sewing it on, just take it to a random spot. Tie it so that it won't come undone. And then you can just put it back in, take it out in another random spot, and cut. So now I'm gonna do that on the other side of my penguin, and then I'll be back to do the face with you guys. Okay, so now I'm going to sew on the beak. For the beak, you're going to do it in between row 15, which is this all white row, and 16, which has the 2 blue. I'm going to go in the middle of the stitches on the sides to go over. I did it in my first one with orange, and for this one I'm using yellow. So you can choose either color. I just want to see how it looks with both colors, if I prefer one. So as you see, I put it on. Going to actually move where these are coming out because it's making it a little weird. There we go. That looks better. And then I'm just gonna put both of them through the same hole down here, tie them together, and then weave them in, which really just means poking them in and cutting the extra off after. And so, pull that a bit. There we go. And then, put my scissors over here. I'm just going to trim the extra yellow off. So there is the beak. And now I just need some black yarn and we'll make the eyes. For the eyes, I'm just using normal black yarn. And we're going to go on row 15. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And we're going to go put the eyes on. You can even move them up one if you want. But I put them on stitch 15 and then I think it was 22, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Like 21 or 22 over here. I just kind of try to make it in the middle. On my other one, I put the eye even. I think I'm actually going to bring it up to row 16. And we'll see how that looks. So 1, 2, I go around 4 times. 3, 4, straight across. And then I'm gonna go 1. Oh, my yarn fell off. One, 2, 3, 4. I'm just gonna put this in a random spot here. Try to fix. There. So yeah, those ones I put in 14 and I think stitch 23 maybe, so they're a bit farther apart. It's really up to you at this point. The crochet pattern is the part that makes it look like a penguin, and then this is just putting the little details on, and so you can kind of play around with it, see how you prefer. But that's all part of crocheting, is you get to be a little creative, make things look the way you want them. If you wanted, you could put little pink lines to make your penguin blush, or some people even use makeup to add blush on them. I am tired. It's been a crazy week for me, so I've just been worn out, but I wanted to make sure I got this video to you guys. I've actually been wanting to make this pattern for like a month now, and I just haven't found time to do it all, but there's the pattern for the little penguin. It's not extremely detailed or anything. It's very simple, but it's perfect for if you're still getting started. there's a penguin. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and you can subscribe to see my future videos. Bye guys!